Caitlin Clark has suddenly emerged as a household figure in the world of women's basketball, which its male counterpart has long overshadowed. Clark's journey from Iowa's courts to the bright lights of the WNBA is nothing short of incredible, encapsulating the promise and potential that so many young athletes strive for. Clark had an extraordinary ability to dominate the basketball floor from a young age, displaying talents that defied her age and experience.
Leads in points, rebounds, and assists. Clark from the logo, and knocks it down.
Clark was born and reared in West Des Moines, Iowa, and her skill was obvious from the time she picked up a hoop. Her high school experience at Dowling Catholic High School was nothing short of remarkable, as she constantly surpassed her contemporaries, establishing records and receiving awards along the way. By the time she was a senior, she was regarded as one of the best recruiters in the country, with universities competing for her commitment.
Another feed inside, and Stuckey finishes!
Clark finally decided to attend the University of Iowa, which proved to be a game changer for both her and the program. From her first game as a Hawkeye, it was evident that she was unique. Her ability to score from any position on the floor, along with her remarkable court vision and basketball IQ, made her a formidable opponent. Clark could do it all, from draining deep threes to threading the needle with precision passes. Her achievements were so spectacular that they drew national notice, raising Iowa's women's basketball team to unprecedented heights.
Caitlin Clark, Dowling Catholic star guard, the nation's #4 prospect in the 2020 class, and played for Team USA under-17 team last summer. That Caitlin Clark.
Clark's college experience was a highlight reel from beginning to end. She broke multiple NCAA marks, including being the quickest player in history to score 1,000 career points. Her scoring prowess was only equaled by her ability to help her teammates improve, as she often provided assists that led to easy baskets. Her on-court leadership was obvious, as she led the Hawkeyes to several NCAA tournament berths and helped improve the national reputation of women's basketball.
The Maroons win. That's second best all-time in the state of Iowa for the 5-on-5 girls basketball era. The Dowling record. To do so, she hit 13 threes. That is a new state record.
But Clark's path to prominence was not without its difficulties. Despite her exceptional skill and accomplishment, she received criticism and scrutiny from certain members of the basketball community. Some questioned if her style of play, which often included long-range shots from well beyond the three-point line, was sustainable at the professional level. Others questioned her ability to make the move from college to the WNBA, where competition is fiercer and defenses are more advanced.
I didn't realize how many I had, but I don't know, it must have just kept building up and stuff. I mean, I never would have imagined I would score 60 points, so I don't know.
To comprehend the importance of Caitlin Clark's ascension, it's necessary to recognize the achievements of people who came before her, pioneers such as Sheryl Swoops. Swoops is a big name in women's basketball, one of the most famous characters in the sport's history. She was instrumental in propelling women's basketball to new heights and setting the way for future generations of athletes.
Check on the averages, 15 turnovers a game.
And Swoops gets it right back for the Raiders.
Swoops started her basketball career in Brownfield, Texas, where she immediately established herself as a top player in high school. She went on to play collegiate basketball at Texas Tech University, where she helped the Lady Raiders win a national title in 1993. Her effort in the championship game, in which she scored 47 points, is one of the most memorable in NCAA history.
13-10 Buckeye lead. Swoops drives the baseline, unimpeded.
Swoops was the first player to join the WNBA when it was formed in 1996, kicking off a legendary professional career. Swoops accomplished about everything a player could hope for throughout her career, including 3 WNBA MVP awards, 4 WNBA championships with the Houston Comets, and 6 All-Star appearances. Her defensive brilliance earned her the moniker, the female Michael Jordan, and she was noted for her ability to shut down the other team's top players while still scoring on offense. Swoops' influence on the game went beyond her on-court performance. She was also a pioneer off the court, becoming one of the first well-known athletes to come out as homosexual. Her fearlessness in living her truth, along with her domination on the court, established her as a role model for innumerable young athletes. Swoops' legacy is not just that of a brilliant basketball player, but also of a trailblazer who changed the paradigm of women's sports and inspired a new generation of athletes. Like every pioneer, Swoops had hurdles along the way. Her outspoken personality and desire to discuss challenging subjects have sometimes placed her in conflict with others in the basketball world. Swoops has always been open to expressing her thoughts, whether regarding the condition of the game, player treatment, or the WNBA's future orientation. Spokenness has made her a beloved and sometimes contentious figure in the sport.
Basketball coach Sheryl Swoops, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players.
An ESPN reporter recently reported on a growing conflict between Sheryl Swoops and Caitlin Clark. The inquiry looked into Swoops' statements, which were seen as disparaging of Clark's swift climb to popularity and the attention she has received in the basketball world. The reporter emphasized the divide between the old school of women's basketball, represented by icons like Swoops, and the current crop of players such as Clark, who are changing the game with their style and attitude. According to the article, Swoops voiced worries about Clark's rapid rise to superstar status, wondering if it was fair to other players who had been in the league longer and had not gotten the same degree of attention. The statement sparked heated controversy in the basketball world, with some agreeing with Swoops' point of view and others seeing them as needless criticism of a young girl who is merely trying her hardest to achieve. The ESPN study also addressed the larger problem of how women's basketball is presented in the media. It implied that there might be underlying prejudices at work in how particular players are praised or critiqued, and that these biases could lead to splits within the sport. The revelation stirred debate on social media and among sports pundits, with views split on whether Swoops' statements were acceptable or reflected an outmoded worldview. The friction between Sheryl Swoops and Caitlin Clark may be seen as a microcosm of the larger issues at work in women's basketball today. On the one hand, there is a profound admiration for the game's pioneers, the legends who struggled for recognition and contributed to the WNBA's current status. On the other side, there is unmistakable enthusiasm about the current generation of players who are pushing the limits of what is possible on the court and injecting new vitality into the sport.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
Caitlin Clark, with her aggressive shooting, remarkable range, and playmaking abilities, personifies this new breed of brilliance. She has instilled a level of enthusiasm in women's basketball that has yet to be seen in years, attracting new fans and boosting viewership. Her ability to score from wherever on the floor, clutch performances, and charming demeanor have helped her become a household name, even among people who have not previously watched women's basketball extensively. However, with increasing popularity comes criticism. As Clark's popularity has grown, so has the number of detractors who wonder whether she merits the attention she is getting. Some of this criticism, according to the ESPN study, may stem from deeper concerns such as racism, sexuality, and the sport's developing culture. The fact that Clark is a white, straight woman in a league dominated by black LGBTQ+ players has raised questions about whether her success is due to her skill or to other reasons.
If it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it. If Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years.
Sheryl Swoops' words, whether meant or not, have fueled the discussion. Swoops' insight is valuable since he has been through both the highs and lows of a professional basketball career. Her complaints about the game's future and the way some players are pushed are valid, but they also raise issues about how the sport may change while remaining true to its heritage. This struggle between tradition and innovation is common in women's basketball. It is a frequent subject in many sports, as the game's pioneers struggle to adapt to changes brought about by a new generation of players. This friction is especially obvious in the WNBA, since the league is still in the early stages of establishing its identity. The WNBA, like many other sports leagues, will face the challenge of balancing reverence for the past with the desire to embrace the future as it expands.
You over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
Caitlin Clark's effect on the WNBA is evident. Since entering the league, she has continued to demonstrate the abilities that made her a collegiate standout, but she has also had to adapt to the demands of professional play. The competition is fiercer, the defenses are more complex, and the pressure to perform is relentless. Despite these hurdles, Clark has demonstrated that she belongs in the WNBA, putting up remarkable statistics and establishing herself as one of the league's most promising young players. Clark's involvement in the WNBA has also raised raised the league's profile, her games have had increased viewership, and her highlights have been extensively broadcast on sports networks and other media platforms. This increased prominence is critical for the WNBA, which has often failed to capture the same degree of attention as the NBA. Clark's ability to fascinate viewers with her play has the potential to attract new followers and help the league expand.
Caitlin Clark behind the back on the spin to the hole and one.
To summarize, the feud between Sheryl Swoops and Caitlin Clark is about more than just two people. It is about the trajectory of women's basketball in general. It reflects the difficulties and possibilities associated with development and change. As the WNBA evolves, it will be up to all those engaged in the sport to find a way to commemorate the past while also embracing the future, ensuring that women's basketball thrives for future generations.
Just can't avoid talking about length. Hand in her face, drains it anyway.
In the realm of sports, it is uncommon to see a player who not only succeeds at their craft, but also reshapes the sport itself. Caitlin Clark is one such athlete. Caitlin Clark, whose name has become associated with greatness, tenacity, and groundbreaking exploits, is more than just another star player. She is a force of nature who is changing the course of women's basketball and sports in general.
The ball up in time. Clark for the win. Yeah! She does it time and time again. The 40-piece and walks off.
Caitlin Clark, who was born and raised in West Des Moines to Iowa, had a challenging path to becoming a sports star. She had a lifelong love for basketball and spent endless hours perfecting her talents on the court. Clark's skill was obvious from an early age, and by high school, it was clear that she was bound for success. Greatness, however, is more than simply skill. It is also about determination, resilience, and a desire to push the limits of what is possible. Clark exemplified all of these attributes, plus more. Clark's abilities were fully on show at Dowling Catholic High School. She was a scoring machine, guiding her team to multiple triumphs and receiving recognition along the way. What distinguished her was not just her ability to score points, but also her basketball IQ, court vision, and leadership. Clark was more than simply a player. She was the lifeblood of her squad. She improved the people around her, which would serve her well when she progressed to the university level.
I think just reflecting back over my 4 years is just, I'm very grateful starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID. And then obviously my sophomore year, we had good crowds. The curtains were down a lot of the games, and now it's impossible to get a ticket to get in the door to our games. So, yeah. I think the people that have made it the most special, obviously my teammates, my coaches, but it isn't what it is without all of you. So seriously, I mean that, and I thank you. And this is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general, but you're changing it. You're helping us change it. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much.
Clark not only met, but exceeded expectations when she started at the University of Iowa. As a freshman, she dominated the NCAA, averaging 26.6 points per game and topping the country in scoring. Her exploits were electrifying, evoking parallels to some of the best players in the sport's history. But for Clark, this was just the beginning. Her sophomore and junior years saw her develop her game even further, making her a triple-double threat and a nightmare for opposing defenses. By the time she declared for the WNBA draft, she had become a household name. Clark came into the WNBA with high hopes after being selected as the first overall choice by the Indiana Fever. And once again, she not only met, but exceeded their expectations. In her first season, she became the first player in Indiana Fever history to record a triple-double. This was no minor effort given the league's skill level. However, Clark's effect extended beyond her on-court accomplishments. Her arrival invigorated the Fever, a squad that has struggled to find its foothold in previous years.
The Indiana Fever are busting down the door of the second half of the season. They be one of the best teams in the league tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Final score 98-89 over the Phoenix Mercury.
It's a sold-out crowd here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse as the Indiana Fever return for the second half of the 2024 season. And the 2024 season is one these fans will never forget.
Clark's entrance constituted a watershed moment for the Fever. Since May, nearly 186,000 fans have attended her home games. This wasn't simply a local phenomenon, it was a national spike in interest in women's basketball, fueled mostly by Clark's star power. The Fever's games quickly became must-see events, drawing fans from all walks of life anxious to see the next chapter in Caitlin Clark's illustrious career. However, Clark's presence had far-reaching consequences outside the court. Her Indiana Fever shirt rapidly became one of the most in-demand things in sports, selling out in all sizes within days of release. This was more than simply products, it was a cultural movement. Clark demonstrated that women's sports could produce the same amount of enthusiasm, engagement, and financial success as their male counterparts, and the world took notice.
It's our first time here, so we're just excited to come from Iowa, to come here, help support women's sports, basketball, Caitlin Clark, the whole business.
It's everything. Girl dad, shout out all the girl dads out there. I love it to be able to come here, have fun, give my daughter the trip up. It's a trip of a lifetime.
My wife talked me into getting season tickets last year, and I'm so glad she did because we enjoy the heck out of this. This is just amazing.
We're ready to scream our lips off.
Yeah, I'm ready to lose my voice.
Clark signed an 8-year, $28 million contract with Nike, the most lucrative endorsement agreement ever for a women's basketball player. This was more than simply a personal win for Clark. It was a victory for women's athletics in general. The arrangement included the launching of her own branded sneaker, a feat that few athletes, male or female, have ever accomplished. Clark was tearing down boundaries and creating new standards, not just for herself, but for every young girl who aspired to be a successful athlete. This degree of achievement, however, has its own set of obstacles. Any athlete might feel overwhelmed by the pressure to perform, media scrutiny, and fan expectations. But Clark has handled everything with elegance and modesty. Despite the plaudits, she has stayed grounded, concentrating on her game and her role as a teammate. In interviews, she often downplays her solo triumphs, focusing on the significance of team success and the involvement of her coaches and teammates in her path.
This is special. I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general, but you're changing it. You're helping us change it. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much. And I just feel really grateful to be here, and I've put on an Iowa jersey for 4 years. But like Coach Booter and Kate said, like there's still so much more fun to have, and we're not done. There is.
Clark's modesty and commitment to her art have only made her more popular among admirers. She has become a role model not just for young athletes, but for everybody who values hard work, tenacity, and dedication to success. Her effect is felt not just in the United States, but all across the globe, as her tale encourages young athletes to follow their ambitions regardless of the hurdles. The ascent of Caitlin Clark is part of a larger trend in women's sports. Over the last several decades, women's sports have made great progress in terms of visibility, participation, and financial investment. However, the trip has been complex. For many years, women's sports were ignored, with less media attention, poorer pay, and fewer possibilities for athletes to participate at the top levels. However, things are changing, and Caitlin Clark is at the vanguard of this transition.
The team do without said player. And for me, you take Caitlin Clark off the floor, I mean, that just creates so many issues for Iowa.
Tough shot there, got it to go past Cunningham.
Clark's success reflects the progress that has been achieved, but it also emphasizes the work that has to be done. While her accomplishments are admirable, they also highlight the persistent inequities between men's and women's athletics. The fact that her $28 million contract is the wealthiest ever for a female basketball player is important, but it also serves as a reminder of the financial disparity that remains in sports. The WNBA has had its own set of issues throughout the years. Despite its amazing skill, the league still needs to achieve the same degree of notoriety and support as the NBA. However, with women like Caitlin Clark leading the way, the league is starting to evolve. Attendance is up, good sales have skyrocketed, and social media engagement is at an all-time high. The Fever presently leads the WNBA in terms of social media engagement, video views, and follower acquisition. This clearly indicates that interest in women's basketball is rising, as is the possibility for further financial commitment and support.
But the other thing I like that Jalen Sherrod talked to us about was just this team and the grit and the pride and the toughness as Caitlin Clark knocks down a three. There are a lot of Iowa fans here in Seattle, and Caitlin with the steal and the stick.
The popularity of Clark and the Fever demonstrates the power of narrative in athletics. The story of Clark's journey to popularity, her record-breaking accomplishments, and her influence on and off the court has fascinated spectators worldwide. Social media has played an important part in this, with clips from her games becoming viral and her interactions with fans being widely shared. The Fever has had over 800 million video views across all platforms, outperforming major leagues such as the NBA and NFL throughout this period. This degree of involvement is unique for a women's sports team and demonstrates the impact of Clark's tale. However, as Caitlin Clark continues to reach new heights, Team USA confronts serious obstacles in the 2018 Olympics. The addition of 3-on-3 basketball has provided a new depth to the tournament, but it has also presented the US team with a number of unexpected problems. Despite their dominance in conventional basketball, the United States squad is not presently considered a major contender in the 3-on-3 version. This has prompted worries about their capacity to compete at the top levels and recover their global supremacy.
You know, it speaks really highly to the player that Caitlin is, to the superstardom that she's created, for people to feel this strongly about something that most of us who know basketball just know it makes sense. Like, everyone that has really made a case for Caitlin has made it on the side of marketing. That has been their main emphasis. That has been their main point. Even Stephen A., when we were going back and forth about it, he was like, I understand the basketball perspective.
The current United States 3-on-3 squad includes renowned players such as Canyon Barry and Jimmer Fredette, both of whom have outstanding backgrounds. However, the team needs more star power from NBA players, raising concerns about their potential to compete with the best teams in the globe. FIBA restrictions have made it tough for NBA players to participate, and the NBA season's overlap with the 3-on-3 season complicates things even more. This scenario has sparked criticism of NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who has been accused of putting sponsorship agreements ahead of the team's best interests. Many think that the NBA's influence on USA basketball is excessive, and that this has resulted in choices that have harmed the team's prospects of success. The United States team's dismal defeat to the Netherlands in a recent tournament has further fueled the flames, with many fans and commentators doubting the program's future orientation.
Caitlin is a great player, and I think the way that she's kind of came into this league, she's continuing to hold her own and show everyone what she can do. I think that, you know, I'm excited to go alongside these 12, but know that Caitlin is going to have a bright future with USA basketball. And I think, you know, the points that she made, she's even more motivated, more hungry, and just knowing that her time is going to come.
Team USA's difficulties extend beyond the absence of NBA players. In addition, financial factors have made it tough to lure elite players to the 3-on-3 squad. The salary for 3-on-3 athletes is much lower than what they might make in the NBA or elsewhere, making it less appealing to elite players. This has resulted in Team USA needing help to deploy their strongest lineup, placing them at a disadvantage in international contests. The emergence of Ice Cube's Big Three League has complicated matters even more. The Big Three has gained popularity as an alternative to conventional basketball forms, prompting concerns that the NBA regards it as competition. Some argue that the NBA would rather see Team USA fail in 3-on-3 basketball than give the Big Three more credit. In response, Ice Cube has promised a financial incentive for the gold medal winning team to participate against the Big Three All-Stars, potentially raising the reputation of 3-on-3 basketball and putting more pressure on Team USA.
You know, honestly, I'm just focused on this right now, one thing at a time. Can't always just be moving on to the next. My focus is right here.
As the Olympics approach, the question remains, will Team USA overcome these hurdles and restore its dominance? What about the international stage? The financial gap, a dearth of NBA players, and the emergence of other basketball forms all make it difficult. However, the team's tenacity and the backing of its supporters might be the difference. Fronts uncertainty, Caitlin Clark continues to excel, establishing new marks and inspiring a generation. Her narrative is about determination, skill, and the ability to alter the game forever. As we prepare for the Olympics, one thing is certain: the world of sports is changing, and Caitlin Clark is leading the push. Clark's experience demonstrates that transformation is possible, even in the face of hardship. Her effect on women's athletics is evident, and it will be felt for years to come. Young athletes all around the globe look up to her as more than simply a top player. She is a pioneer who has opened the path for them to pursue their ambitions. Clark's legacy will be one of breaking boundaries, establishing new standards, and demonstrating that women's sports deserve equal respect, support, and funding as men's sports. The obstacles that Team USA faces in the Olympics are enormous, but they also provide an opportunity, a chance to evaluate the program's goals, invest in the growth of 3-on-3 basketball, and secure the United States' continued of dominance on the world scene. The road ahead will be difficult, but with the appropriate preparation, moments of inspiration, and the ability to bring people together, Caitlin Clark has already provided us with several examples of these moments, and as her career continues, we should expect many more. Stay tuned for additional updates on Caitlin Clark's journey, the progress of women's sports, and Team USA's next challenges. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave your opinions in the comments. Thank you for watching. Lynn Dunn, the famous general manager of the Indiana Fever, has had enough. She is a seasoned veteran of the game who has seen both the highs and lows of professional basketball. But what she's seeing today has pushed her to the edge, leading her to speak out with genuine conviction. What triggered the event? None other than the unrelenting and some say deadly roughness that Caitlin Clark has faced on the court. This isn't just another day in the WNBA. It's a crisis in the making, and Dunn is prepared to act.
Amazing. It's amazing. I cannot believe that many people are here just for the draft party. It's such an exciting moment. We're thrilled to select with the first pick Caitlin Clark.
But what's really going on here? Is this simply another chapter in the WNBA's illustrious history? Or is something more important emerging before our eyes? Let's go into the facts, unpack the difficulties, and find out why Lynn Dunn, one of the most respected personalities in women's basketball, is suddenly demanding quick action. Lynn Dunn's interest extends beyond basketball to the fundamental fabric of the game. Dunn's perspective is unique as the Indiana Fever's general manager. She's seen the league's evolution throughout the years, including the growth of players, the intensity of rivalries, and the rising fan base. But what she sees today is different, and it troubles her terribly.
You're changing it, you're helping us change it, so seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much, and I just feel really grateful to be here.
Dunn is especially concerned with Caitlin Clark's supporters' conduct and the more violent techniques employed against her on the court. It's one thing to play rough. Basketball, after all, is a contact sport. But when does toughness become dangerous? That is the question Dunn is asking, and it has sparked a passionate discussion within the WNBA community. Caitlin Clark, with her evident skill and compelling charisma, has emerged as the league's lightning rod. Her supporters are fervent, her opponents are tenacious, and the result is a level of ferocity that is making headlines throughout the sport. Dunn is frustrated not just with the physical play, but also with how the game is developing, or maybe devolving, in reaction to the demands that come with Clark's ascension. Caitlin Clark's influence in the WNBA cannot be emphasized enough. She's more than simply another player. She's a sensation. Clark is creating waves on the floor, turning heads, and pushing opponents to reconsider their strategy. He averages 16.3 points, 6 assists, and 4.9 rebounds per game. But what's occurring off the field is absolutely astounding. Clark's presence has directly contributed to an increase in WNBA attendance and fan engagement. In Los Angeles, 19,033 people have come to witness her performance. In Washington, the attendance was even higher. 20,333 people packed the arena to see Caitlin Clark perform. These metrics are more than just numbers. They reflect the WNBA's burgeoning popularity, which is propelled in large part by Clark's spectacular performances.
I'm very grateful starting and playing in front of absolutely no one during COVID, and then obviously my sophomore year we had good crowds, the curtains were down a lot of the games, and now...
However, all of this prosperity has brought along a new set of obstacles. As Clark continues to dominate, she becomes a target. The brutality aimed against her is rising, and it's more than simply difficult defense. It's about survival. Opponents are pushing the envelope, testing the limits, and in some instances, crossing the line. That's where the real issue is. The WNBA has always distinguished itself by its physicality. However, there is a distinction between playing hard and dirty, and that line is getting more blurred. Caitlin Clark is at the heart of this argument, since she encounters physical obstacles on the court that some feel exceed what is appropriate in competitive play.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44.
Remember when Clark was hip-checked by Chennedy Carter, or when she clashed with Angel Reese? These aren't isolated events. They're part of a wider trend that's forming throughout the league. Clark has spoken out about the treatment she is undergoing, stating, "I feel like I'm getting hammered." For a player of her level to raise such worries is significant. It indicates that something has to change. The roughness thrown toward Clark is more than simply strong defense. It's about delivering a message, but what's the message? Is Clark too good, oppressive, or threatening? Or is it something more sinister, referring to larger flaws inside the league? These are the questions posed by fans, players, coaches, and experts alike. As the physicality goes up, so too does the discussion. Where do we distinguish between competitive play and harmful behavior? What constitutes appropriate on-court behavior, and when does it become excessive? These are the problems that are now front of mind in the WNBA, and Lynn Dunn is determined to solve them. Caitlin Clark's handling of the court has elicited different reactions. On one side, some supporters are upset, believing that Clark is being unjustly targeted and that the brutality she is experiencing is not simply part of the game, but a purposeful effort to bring her down. These supporters are loud, passionate, and demanding change.
An accidental collision with Caitlin Clark. You see it right there. Personnel crowds around her. She ended up being okay. She said she was fine. She just got the wind knocked out of her a little bit.
On the other hand, others contend that this is just basketball. It's a rigorous sport, and if you want to be the greatest, you must be able to manage the physical demands. For some followers, Clark's situation is merely part of the game, a necessary hurdle that she must face if she wants to compete at the greatest level. But it's not only the fans who are split. The league itself is debating how to react. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert recognized the problem, saying, "I believe everyone is watching Caitlin, so their emphasis is solely on Caitlin. But when compared to other games with additional players, it is a physical game." Engelbert's remarks underline the bigger context. The WNBA is a rough league, and Caitlin Clark isn't the only one dealing with these issues.
Yeah, I mean, her first month in W, obviously, aside from the numbers, the viewership, the attendance, the way that she plays the game, you know, she's ultra competitive. Her ability to really stretch the floor and find her teammates. Obviously, there is a learning curve. And
however, Engelbert's words pose serious considerations. Is Clark's physicality merely a facet of the game, or is there more to it? Is the league doing enough to safeguard its players, particularly its superstars? What message is being sent to the next generation of players and fans? These are the concerns that are rising to the forefront as the discussion around Caitlin Clark and the physicality of the WNBA heats up. So what precisely does Lynn Dunn propose? Dunn's strong words make it plain that she is unwilling to sit back and watch while the game she loves is imperiled. She is asking for quick action, urging the league to intervene and address the problem of physicality before it is too late.
About 20 seconds, maybe 15.
Why that long?
I don't know. They made me pause. You know, the league. You gotta follow the directions.
Dunn isn't just speaking out, she's taking action. She allegedly submitted game videos to the league headquarters, underlining the risky play that she feels is endangering players like Caitlin Clark. Dunn's commitment is palpable. She's not just talking the talk, she's living the walk, leading by example for everyone participating in the game. But what fueled Lynn Dunn's ardent determination? Why is she so adamant about cleaning up the game, safeguarding the athletes, and maintaining the WNBA's integrity? The answer is rooted in her profound passion for the game, dedication to the league, and conviction that basketball can and should be better. Dunn's call to action applies to the whole league, not just one player or club. She's making a strong message about the significance of safeguarding star players, establishing a high standard for the whole WNBA, and keeping the game fair and safe for everyone on the field.
One of our biggest wins of the season so far was our first win at Phoenix. I think that really kind of boosted us into how we're playing basketball right now.
As the WNBA expands and evolves, physicality will remain a major concern. The league is at a crossroads, and the choices made over the next several months and years will significantly influence its future. If the league can find a way to combine toughness and safety, protecting its players while maintaining the game's purity, it has the potential to reach new heights. The WNBA has the potential to serve as a model for other sports leagues, demonstrating that it is feasible to play intense competitive basketball without jeopardizing player safety.
Left to go. How important was it for this group to come out after the break and get the win?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it sets the tone of where we want to be the rest of the season. So to grind this one out and get it done, I think is just a step in the right direction. But it's one at a time, and we have another big one Sunday.
However, if the league fails to handle the problem, the ramifications might be severe. Players might continue to get injured, the game's quality could deteriorate, and spectators could lose faith. The WNBA risks losing keeping its momentum and its status as one of the most entertaining and dynamic sports leagues in the world. The WNBA's future is in the balance, and choices taken now will define the league for years to come. It is a watershed moment in the league's history, and players, fans, and the media will all be paying careful attention. To summarize, Lynn Dunn's call to action is about more than simply Caitlin Clark. It is about the future of the WNBA. The league is at a watershed moment as it deals with the problem of physicality and its influence on the game.
Yeah, I think just when I can get going early, that's when I really settle into the game and feel comfortable. And I think my third quarter wasn't great, but yeah, I think there's times where we would have crumbled, but we just kept battling and fighting, and I thought it was a really good win for us.
Dunn's drive to safeguard the players, maintain the league's integrity, and guarantee that the WNBA stays fair and safe reflects her passion for the sport. She is not just speaking out, she is also acting, setting an example for everyone participating in the game. The fight about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA has not ended, and it will continue to define the league's future. However, one thing is certain, the WNBA is a league worth fighting for, and it can achieve unprecedented heights.
Outside these 12, but know that Caitlin is going to have a bright future with USA Basketball, and I think, the points that she made, she's even more motivated, more hungry, and just knowing that her time is going to come.
As fans, players, and the media continue to weigh in on this topic, the WNBA's future will be molded by the choices made today. It is a watershed event in the league's history, with long-term implications for the game. So where are we going from here? The solution is up to the league, the players, and the fans. It is up to all of us to keep the WNBA a league we can be proud of, one that is tough, competitive, and fair. And with leaders like Lynn Dunn at the forefront, there's little question the WNBA is in capable hands.